Ever find yourself doing something you didn't initially agree to? One moment you were certain. The next, you're apologizing, compromising, adjusting. And somehow, you don't even know how it happened. That is the quiet power of manipulation. Although they may not blatantly tell you to do things, emotional manipulators are good at observing people's weaknesses and using it to their advantage. As psychologist Joyce E. Russell states in the Washington Post, they don't want to be seen as the ones publicly criticizing progress or new initiatives. So instead, they make sure others carry the torch for them. Are they manipulators? Bullies? Possibly both. Manipulators usually exude these characteristics. They recognize people's weaknesses. They are great at disguising motives and intentions. They are able to charm with positive reinforcement or superficial sympathy to control others. They may use anger or intimidation to make others afraid to confront them. They may use their emotions to stir up guilt or set the emotional climate around them. If they are upset, everyone around them should be upset too. If not stopped, manipulators can cause talented employees to quit, create conflict in a team by causing people to turn against each other, and may even set employees up to fail. The root causes of manipulation are complex, though it usually stems from a need for power, control, and superiority, or due to simple boredom, or some other hidden agenda. However, if not stopped, their behavior will be reinforced and will continue to affect more and more people. Manipulation does not just damage individuals. It poisons environments. It spreads silently. So how do you stop it? Point 1. Recognize the game. 1. Recognize and be aware of their tactics. Manipulation rarely announces itself. It doesn't walk into the room and say, "I'm here to control you." Instead, it wears a mask. Sometimes it looks like charm. Sometimes it sounds like urgency. Sometimes it feels like guilt. And other times, it comes dressed as anger. Highly manipulative people understand something powerful about human psychology. People respond more to emotion than logic. So they don't argue facts. They trigger feelings. Some will flatter you. "You're the only one I can trust with this. You're so good at handling these things." It sounds like praise, but it's pressure disguised as appreciation. Others use intimidation. "If you don't help me, don't expect me to be there for you. After everything I've done for you." That's not cooperation. That's emotional leverage. And then there's guilt, the most common tactic of all. Guilt makes you act not because you want to, but because you feel obligated. Psychologists refer to this as emotional manipulation through obligation framing, when someone frames their request in a way that makes refusal feel immoral. But here's the key truth. Manipulation only works in the shadows. The moment you pause and think, "Why do I suddenly feel pressured? Why do I feel guilty when I haven't done anything wrong? Why is this request wrapped in emotional intensity?" You shift from reaction to awareness. And awareness is your first layer of defense. Because once you identify the tactic, the charm, the anger, the guilt, the urgency, you separate the emotion from the decision. And when you separate emotion from decision, you regain control. Manipulation loses power the moment it is identified. It cannot survive under observation. The manipulator depends on your automatic response. Your power begins the moment you stop reacting and start observing. That pause is protection. 2. Say no to guilt trips. Guilt is one of the manipulator's sharpest weapons, invisible, yet devastating. And here's the secret most people never notice. The moment you feel guilty, even when you haven't done anything wrong, you're already being manipulated. Manipulators love to frame situations so that your natural empathy or sense of responsibility is turned against you. You've probably heard lines like, "Why can't you be more like your friend who scored all A's? If only you acted more like her husband. He's so caring and attentive." On the surface, it sounds like advice, but it's not. It's a weapon, a subtle attack designed to make you feel inferior, ashamed, or responsible for their feelings. Another classic tactic? The silent treatment. No words, just absence, just tension. It's a pressure cooker, and the goal is to make you squirm until you comply. Here's the key. Absorbing guilt is surrender. Every time you take it in, every time you justify it to yourself, the manipulator wins. They see you bending, compromising, apologizing, and they know they can keep using this tactic. But the moment you refuse to play that game, the moment you recognize the guilt trip for what it is and say, "No, I will not be manipulated," everything changes. You regain control of the emotional dynamic. Guilt is only as powerful as the person who allows it to be. Reject it, name it, and watch how the manipulator's influence begins to crumble. Your peace of mind is not negotiable. Your emotions are not theirs to weaponize. Saying no to guilt is not coldness. It's clarity, it's freedom, and it's the first step toward ending emotional control. Point 2. Know your power. 3. Know your rights. Remember that the problem is not you. Preston and I, a professor of communication studies, states that you have the right to be treated with respect. You have the right to express your feelings, opinions, and wants. You have the right to set your own priorities. You have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You have the right to get what you pay for. You have the right to have opinions different from others. You have the right to take care of and protect yourself from being threatened physically, mentally, or emotionally. You have the right to create your own happy and healthy life. You have the power to stand up for yourself and your life. Don't let anyone physically, mentally, or emotionally manipulate your thinking. When you feel that you are being treated irrationally or are being manipulated into doing others' work, you can politely say to them, "No, I can't help you with that as I have other commitments as well." Set boundaries. They should not make you feel like you need to walk on eggshells around them for fear that they will use anger or self-pity to get what they want. Boundaries are not aggression. They are clarity. This message is not about labeling every disagreement as manipulation. Not every difficult person is a manipulator. Not every conflict is abuse. The goal is awareness, not paranoia. Strength, not hostility. Point 3. Verify everything. 4. Always verify information. They may often tell you what others have said, but always check with the original sources. This can prevent them from using information against you or twisting words to suit their own personal needs. Be wary when other people's names and vague generalizations are used as a backup to get what they want. For example, "So-and-so says this about you too," or "Everyone thinks this of you, not just me." Manipulators thrive in confusion. Clarity dismantles their leverage. Point 4. Question the dynamic. 5. Ask yourself some questions. Manipulators are good at wearing different masks with different people depending on the situation. With one person, they may be sweet, but with another they may be completely rude. Ask yourself some of these questions. Am I being treated with genuine respect? Am I constantly feeling afraid to state my own views? Is this relationship only one-sided? Are the expectations and demands of me reasonable? Patterns reveal truth. Your discomfort is data. Listen to it. Point 5. Expose the pattern. 6. Expose the behavior, not the person. One of the most effective ways to deal with a manipulator is not through confrontation, but through clarity. Manipulators thrive in secrecy, ambiguity, and private conversations. Their power depends on confusion. When you calmly bring their behavior into the open, the leverage weakens. Instead of accusing them with emotional language, focus on observable actions. For example, instead of saying, "You're manipulating me," say, "You told me yesterday that everyone agreed with this decision. I've now spoken to 2 of them, and they said they were never consulted. Can we clarify what happened?" This shifts the focus from personal attack to factual inconsistency. Manipulators often rely on vague generalizations. "Everyone thinks." They said, emotional pressure behind closed doors. When you request specifics in a calm and direct manner, you remove their shield. Bring conversations into shared spaces. If manipulation happens privately, move important conversations into neutral or documented spaces. For example, follow up verbal conversations with written summaries. Ask for clarification in group settings. Request decisions to be documented. Transparency reduces manipulation. Stay calm. Do not mirror their emotion. When exposed, manipulators may become defensive, turn the accusation back on you, escalate emotionally, play the victim. Your strength is composure. The goal is not to win a dramatic confrontation. The goal is to dismantle the tactic. Understand the risk. Not every manipulator will change when exposed. Some will intensify their behavior, attempt to discredit you, seek new targets. This is why exposure should be strategic, not impulsive. If the environment is toxic or unsafe, the safest form of exposure may be documentation, escalation through proper authority, or removal from the dynamic altogether. Sometimes, the strongest move is disengagement. Exposing a manipulator is not about humiliation. It is about removing the mask. When light enters a room, shadows lose their control. Closing reflection. Manipulative behaviors can create a ripple effect when not put to a stop. It is thus essential that we recognize and end them. Ultimately, the goal is not to change a manipulative person. It is to understand your own personal rights and to stand up for them. When people don't like themselves very much, they have to make up for it. The classic bully was actually a victim first. Sometimes manipulation is a symptom of insecurity, but understanding that does not mean tolerating it. Strength is not cruelty. It is self-respect. Thanks for watching. Guiding Veil Echoes reveals the deeper forces behind history, power, and human behavior. Subscribe to understand the world beyond the surface.